All right, let's get her going. This is my third or fourth attempt of introducing Off the Rails Friday.
Just love it so much.
My week was so screwed up. I think I called for Off the Rails Friday like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
We got there, pal.
It was Wednesday.
It was Wednesday.
We made it.
All right. But today's the day.
Yeah.
So I got that right.
Yeah.
So let's welcome everybody in wherever you're watching or following. Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. We're glad you are with us in our Leaf edition. And if you don't get us live, always give us a chance to follow up with you on a platform called The Pod.
Yeah, sure. Check us out.
Do you guys listen to pods?
I do now. I didn't for years. I fought it for a long
Really?
time, but I do now, yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts,
You do?
a lot of sports podcasts, but never any hockey podcasts. Yeah.
Well, why would you? You
I know.
got the best right here.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
You
literally
live-
talk about hockey
You live the best.
20 hours a week, so I don't need to hear it, but a lot of basketball, a lot
As
of football.
always on Friday, especially a Fridays, although you can do it anytime you want.
Oh, yeah.
Text us at 590-590. We'll get your thoughts, questions.
Sammy reads them,
Comments.
screens them, doesn't tell us about them, and then
Yep.
on Friday he will.
A little later on in the hour, we'll welcome in Luke Fox, Leafs writer for Sportsnet.ca. We'll get his thoughts. And then, of course, top of the hour, Doug MacLean, former NHL president, GM, head coach, and guy that really has nothing else to do
No. Sport.
on a Friday,
Yeah.
will join us as well. In the meantime, let's talk about Sammy's Toronto Maple Leafs. They miss out on Chris Tanev, but last night they land two right-handed defensemen.
Oh, boy. Who's the second?
Mitch Marner.
Okay. All
No.
right. Fair enough.
Get the hook out of your mouth, would you?
Yeah, sure. So what are we doing here?
I can't remember your take on this from when it happened before. But this, to me, is absurd. Like, stop it.
What do you mean?
With Mitch?
Yes. What are you doing?
What, they were down to 4D?
No, for one shift, McCabe misses a shift. This is not to get right into takes here, but Sheldon saying about how they're in a jam 100 times and playing Mitch Marner at forward was like, hey, Brad, get me a you-know-what defenseman.
Well, that's it. Is it just is that his way of really making it crystal clear? I need help.
No.
Yes.
No, I mean, Tree says the trade was done before the game. We all knew he needed a right-hand D. It's not like he's not trying to trade for right-hand D. You guys think Sheldon made a protest last night?
do.
That's why Marner played?
I do, yeah.
That's pretty
No, but
long
he has
shot.
played. He played last week too, didn't he? Or
Last
2
year.
weeks ago?
No,
earlier this year he had a
did.
couple of shifts
Yeah.
on D.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like very early in the year, talked about as an actual strategy when they were down for comebacks, right? But yeah.
Stupid.
Okay, the Leafs end a 10-game regulation losing streak
Yeah.
12, yeah.
at home.
Well, no, 10 regulation losing streak, and they had yeah. Well, you're looking at me.
They hadn't won since 2002
In regulation.
in regulation.
Yes, because they had lost. Coyotes had lost twice in overtime to the Leafs at home.
Okay, before we get into last night's Dogs breakfast,
Oh boy.
because that was just a bad hockey game. I'm sorry. Anyway, you want to find anything out of that thing? It was just a bad hockey game.
No pushback here on that. Not the best effort game for. I didn't think the Leafs skated particularly well last night.
Okay,
All right,
the Boosh.
the Boosh man. Did you trade first?
Yes,
Do the
I
trade
think
first.
so. Just
All right.
adding Ilya Lyubushkin, 75% of his contract was retained by the Anaheim Ducks and the Carolina Hurricanes, but it cost them a third and a sixth to do it. So let's go to you first, JB.
Well, I like it. First off, I'm a Boosh guy. When he was here, you guys probably remember, I really liked him as a player. They had needed that when they got him a couple of years ago, and he was someone who really tried to light guys up. The downside of it, of course, is that he tried to light guys up, and they'd get by him, and they'd have a scoring chance going the other way. But he is, the Leafs so clearly had a need for someone who is a right shot, someone who's physical, someone who defends as a priority, someone who PKs. He does all those things. So in the absence of Tanev, if you go down the list of who is available, wasn't a ton to choose from. So I like it. The acquisition cost doesn't really faze me. It's a 3rd and 25. It's about what it costs to get a D-man at the deadline.
That I'm not with you. I look at a 3rd and a 6 for a rental again. And hey, I'm the one screaming all in here.
Yeah.
So, but it's not cheap. A 3rd.
No.
Like you didn't want to give up a 1st, or the perception is that nobody wanted to give up a 1st, but everybody's all day long on the 3rd for a rental. So, I mean, my point in all of this
Are we
is
sure
that
they didn't want to give up a 1st?
It's not that I wouldn't do it, but again, for everybody saying don't go all in, it's costing you picks.
Yes, that's what all in is. Yeah,
right?
and to me, the 3rd and the 6th is not for Lyubushkin alone. It's for massive. No, it's massive retention too, right? Massive, Kip. They're paying $687 for the guy.
All I'm saying is that if you're going to start throwing away these picks, then you better come up with something a lot bigger and a lot shinier than Lyubushkin. So if you're telling me they're all in and 3rd and a 6, just the cost of doing business, then I'm with you.
Yeah.
But if you stop at this trade in terms of still trying to nibble around the edges, and that's all Lyubushkin is a nibble around the edges. I get it.
Yeah.
Depth. I like him. Good ad.
For sure.
You need 6, 7, 8 quality defensemen if you think you're going to go to a conference final. So there it's good. Yeah. But I better see all in between now and Friday.
Is it depth, though? Like, isn't he just going to go right to the top pair? That's the problem for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if they are going to make another trade, which you've mentioned, fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get another right-hand shot D-man somewhere. Again,
they better.
I agree.
I think they better.
I agree. It's just, to me, your big move can't be to add Lyubushkin to play with Morgan Riley, right? And they added Luke Schenn, and we were all wondering what he was going to be last year, and he ends up playing with Riley, and he plays really well, and he played like 14 minutes a night kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Lyubushkin is Luke Schenn. I think Luke Schenn's probably a better player than Lyubushkin is. I don't want to hate it as much as I do. Like, I kind of like what he brings. But
I like it if there's more, Sammy.
I just don't want him playing on the top pair. And it just feels like that's exactly where we're headed.
It does.
That's what
I think
worries
it's
me.
Protection against, not getting the guy they want. Because I agree. I don't think they look at their team and go, we don't need another top pair guy. Lyubushkin's a top pair guy. They're not dumb. They don't think this guy who's been playing, 17 minutes in Anaheim is a top pair guy. But if they can't get someone else, you have a body who can play with Riley, who can make a difference, who, moves people into better positions.
So instead of losing in 5 games to Florida, now you could lose in 6.
This is the dumbest thing ever,
7.
Kid. So should they not get good players because it's not the one you want it to be? Like, you're talking about getting all-in guys. They have 23rd on the penalty kill.
Once again, are you just telling me that this is the start of much more coming, and then we're with you?
Yeah.
But if this is really it in a nutshell on the blue line, then I'm with Sammy going, this is disappointing.
For sure. But I just don't think you can make 3 trades when you make your first trade. It's your first trade. And I'm with you. I don't think Lyubushkin is a top pair guy. But to me, it's like they are 23rd on the penalty kill. They have no right shot D. They have no physical players.
It's a good start.
It is. It's a start. And if you don't like the acquisition cost, I get it. It's a cost. It's a cost you could have used somewhere else. But to me, it's like, have you guys looked at the players who are available? There's no names.
I know, and that's a problem.
Yeah,
I just can't get over Tanev. I can't quit Tanev.
Yeah,
it really, the drop off between thinking you're going to get Chris Tanev to like back to Lyubushkin.
Yeah.
It's a hurtful one. Like, it's just, I really. Not that I thought it was a lock that he was coming here. I clearly knew, but it's just the fact that it was taken away from you when it's just such a perfect fit and a real difference maker.
I know.
And now it's like the next option is Lyubushkin. That's the step down here.
I think in Eddie Murphy's Raw or Delirious, he talks about being a kid and wanting a McDonald's hamburger. This is my article today.
Yes.
He wants to go to McDonald's, and his mom's like, we have hamburger meat at home.
Yeah.
And she goes to make like the Wonder Bread version of the hamburger.
Yeah.
That's Lyubushkin.
And there's like green parts in it.
Green peppers hanging out of it.
I don't see the green parts in the McDonald's hamburger.
I see my dad mix it up with like eggs and breadcrumbs. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Actually, that's in Eddie Murphy's bit. He's like, I don't want an egg McMuffin, and it's like you end up with this burger and you're going, that's not quite what I wanted.
They're familiar with him. He's played with Morgan in the past. that helps.
For sure.
I'm sticking up for it because I see what they just don't have options, but it's not a perfect fit. Why don't we listen to them tell us about it, unless you have something else you want to add?
Absolutely.
Do you want to do Tree first or Keefe?
Tree.
Let's get Tree.
He made the trade.
Let's get the GM number one there on Ilya Lyubushkin trade.
We're short on the right side, so you look throughout the marketplace, and number one is determining what's available, right? There's lots of names people want to banty about, but you got to separate, reality from non-reality. And when we look at Ilya, a few things. Obviously, there's a familiarity with the team. I wasn't here with them before, but in speaking, I spoke to a few of the players. Obviously, speaking a lot with Sheldon, the coaching staff. There's a familiarity of where he fit in last year, when his last time here as a teammate. They spoke, glowingly about a teammate, how he fit in with the group. But then, stylistic and profile-wise, you're looking, from my end, somebody on the right side, and one of the things that we need to improve upon is stopping plays, killing plays. He's got the ability to kill plays, and then obviously being able to do the deal the way we did it, and the number that he came in at provides us some flexibility. So it adds to our depth. It gives us a body in a position of need, and it allows us still to seek other opportunities over the course of the next week.
We're going shopping.
Seek other opportunities is encouraging. Where he fit in last time is not encouraging.
Yes. And him calling him depth helps my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
They're not done. But I just have to measure what we know now against what Lyubushkin is.
2 more bodies, changeover. Is that going to be enough? Like, that's probably what they're looking at, right? Probably a forward and another D, or 2 forwards, or...
They need another stud on the blue line.
What does that mean?
It means a legit top 4.
Yeah, they're not good enough on D. They're just not.
No. I mean, my only comparable to being able to win. So first off, I think it's a heavily flawed year in the NHL where I don't look at any teams as unbeatable. But the only comparable is maybe the 2017 Penguins with Dumoulin and Mata and, whatever, where the whole thing is they just flip pucks in the neutral zone, keep it safe, and you have your elite forward talent, Ian Cole, Hainsey.
And who's Dumoulin on the Leafs right now, and who's Cole on the Leafs right now? Because I see smaller, tinier, lighter guys.
See, I don't see that at all. I think you got that wrong. The Leafs now are Benoit, McCabe, Lyubushkin. Those are 3 guys who hit first as a priority. So no team has 6 guys who hit. So it's a few guys in the lineup now who want to run into you anyway. But
yeah,
I'll take the guys.
I'll give you that one for sure. Yeah, Benoit has added a lot.
Yeah.
McCabe has been more physical in the last 3 weeks than I've seen since coming
he looks
here.
Confident. Yeah.
So, there's much bigger physical presence than we've seen in the past.
Because,
you're right.
Liljegren's not going to do it. Riley's not going to do it. And Brody's not going to do it. So.
And I think, on the positive side of this, there's 2-part take here from this is that I have a hard time, because I did a post-game thing last night, and then we did a pod talking about the trade afterwards. And I didn't go on Twitter. I didn't do any of the reading before I went on. And analytics guys despise Lyubushkin.
Yeah.
Like, he is what's the opposite of an analytics darling?
I saw people call him the worst defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah, like, people hate this guy. Yeah. And part of me was like, oh, that worries me. But part of me is like, I wish I just was a hockey fan now without Twitter. Like, when I was a kid, I watch hockey, and it's like, oh, that guy's good, that guy's bad. I can make my own decisions. But I feel like I'm so not influenced, but I just see that, and I'm measuring it against this, and it's like
the reason why we call people influencers on
this
stupid thing.
It influenced me. I'm like, oh, these guys are saying he's the worst. He's got to be the worst. But I'm like, can I make my own decision when I see him play? And I've seen him play before.
Yeah, the answer is yes, you can, but you got to shut your phone off.
But here's the thing, Kyper. They all said the exact same thing about Simone Benoit, where Benoit was unplayable. Benoit had awful numbers. Benoit was a guy that was just completely, not an option for the Leafs. And they've developed him and put him in a good position to succeed. And he's becoming a really important guy for them.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that can happen with with Lyubushkin, but I don't know.
I think guys like Lyubushkin and Benoit, who are not play-driving guys, they don't skate it out, pass it out, whatever. When they get on bad teams, they get stuck because no one breaks it out for them, and they just get let's say they stop a play in the D zone, like Tree's talking about. It then doesn't get going the other way. When you're on a good team, you get a stop. Sometimes some guys can actually make a play for you, and it works. His time with the Leafs, he was really good at defending the blue line, hitting, blocking shots, like stick checks.
I remember him being able to snap a breakout pass a little bit, too, I remember.
He checks out a lot better his time in Toronto does than when he's on bad teams.
Buffalo and Anaheim.
You may have to just wait in the summer to get a stud to back up Morgan Riley ultimately. I mean,
it's ever going to happen.
Forsling is a free agent, UFA. Forsling's a free agent. Montour's a free agent. Brett Pesce's a free agent. UFAs. There's a decent list this summer.
Do you think you could go to a Carolina now and talk about Pesce? I know where they're at.
Yeah, I think you can.
If you're like, hey,
the answer is yes.
If you want to do something bigger, maybe that's what Vancouver. I'm connecting dots. That's all, right? They talked about Pettersson.
Listen, you have to have these conversations. Brett Pesce is not resigning in Carolina unless something drastically changes in the next little while. They're not prepared to pay this guy. So why wouldn't the Leafs knock on the door and say, you're not keeping him? You don't necessarily want to lose him for nothing here. We'll take him off your hands and let's talk.
Yeah, that's an interesting name.
I mean, that's a difference maker for sure.
Right.
Do we want to hear Keefe on Lyubushkin?
Sure. Yeah.
Is that the right place to go next? Let's go to the coach on the trade.
It helps us for sure. I'm obviously familiar with him, and when he's come in the past, he helped us, both in what he brings, the type of player that he is. He's ultra competitive, physical, strong, doesn't back down to anyone or any situation. Like he plays the game hard and honest. And obviously the right shot. We've talked enough about that to know the importance of that. And I think that in itself, just sort of allows some other things to settle into place, which I think is where the additional boost comes from. So there's part of it is what Boosh himself brings, and the other part of it is how it impacts the rest of the decor. So I think it's a good move, and we're happy to have him.
Okay. And this comes also off of Mark Giordano leaving the game and not returning.
Yeah.
We assume
it's a concussion.
A concussion? Did they announce a concussion today?
Announce it, yeah.
Whether or not he'll be back in a week or two or shut down indefinitely, or perhaps at his age, he may have played his last shift last night.
Yeah,
that was as violent a collision with the boards as you're going to see in a really awkward position. I didn't like
back
seeing
in the
that.
head, kind of like
that was one of those ones where I'm like, I didn't even need to see a replay of that one. It was bad.
Yeah.
So you could be onto something there, Kyper. I don't know.
Well, I'm not onto something. I'm just going through the.
Yeah. Well, there's 6 weeks left in the season. If he's badly concussed, then who knows if he plays again?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for him.
Yeah.
Well-loved and respected guy, including by the three of us on the show.
I don't want to retire anybody,
no,
but
exactly.
at his age right now, with the rest of his life, I'm sure he's ultimately, even if he is in a position to come back, you got to once again weigh out where's my risk here and my reward, and how much do I want to take a chance here?
I bet, just knowing the way he plays, I bet if he's able, he'll try.
He's on injury reserve. Whether that goes to long term, I think remains to be seen. But I think it does make it a little bit easier to maybe hold on to a guy like Nick Robertson or others in the lineup here. It does.
That's right. With Yarncroc coming back.
With Yarncroc coming back.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a soundbite on Yarncroc?
Yep, we do have a soundbite on Yarncroc.
All right. Let's go to a Kipper's Clipper on Yarncroc's return. Ron Crook.
I haven't got the report on how things went today, but he's very close. So he'll be a question for us going into tomorrow. I think it's the first time where there's a possibility that he could play. So it's the first real practice that he's had with us. So today was an important day to get through. So we'll get a sense of where he is. Probably not until tomorrow morning until we'll know more for sure.
Until we make sure he gets
He's
through the
preparing
day.
to play.
Gets through the day
Yeah.
without stubbing his toe real bad or sleeping through his alarm.
So careful.
He's come a long way for me.
Yarncroc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yarncroc.
Is it? I don't know how to
I mean,
pronounce
they're
it.
saying Yarncroc now. It's,
What?
Yeah.
But he's, to me, he,
That's how Sundin says it. That's how we should say
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
I
should
think
be.
he got a little, I don't know, grittier for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a good like compete level. If I don't know if people don't like that phrase necessarily, but it's like he does work and he skates and all that. So I'm with you. I like him in that way.
And I think he can come in and maybe help JT a little bit.
yeah, it's certainly. I mean, Tavares with McMahon and Robertson. That's tough to climb out of that hole when you're not playing well with those guys. I mean, McMahon and Yarncroc. That's a little bit more respectable guys to work with. Guys who could shoot and finish and all that.
Yeah. But-
For sure. Do we want to finish Tree Living's trade-related stuff before we go into the?
What else is
There's
tickling
two
your
more.
fancy?
I think the third one would be the one that would be worth playing. The second one, he doesn't give you a ton, but if if he would be willing to trade his first round pick, and somebody asked him
Ooh,
that.
that's a good one.
So there you go. If we
Okay.
play clip 3.
In the right deal, to me, where our team's at, you'd want to help the team. I think you got to be careful with first round picks for short term help. But if it makes sense, and at the end of the day, when you do the final analysis, if you think that there's, it's going to have an impact, you have to look at every option. So the idea that we're not going to do this or we're not going to do that, we look at every option if it's going to improve our team. Now, as the manager, you also have to look at not just the next 6 weeks lens, but you balance it. And so we've tried to look at opportunities that could help our team using any and all capital we have available. But it's got to make sense.
The Russian.
There you go.
So I know earlier this week I've used Lawson Krause as an example, but that's what Tree is talking about right now. Is there a mid-20 guy with 3 years on his deal, and I'll give you a first rounder all day long, but it's gonna be expensive and it's gonna be the first plus. And usually the plus, if you're really gonna go and get a significant guy like that, the plus is an A prospect with it. It's not a B or a C prospect. And that's the tricky part. And that's why I've always brought in Cowan into the mix, saying under the right trade for the right guy at the right age, with the right term moving forward.
You're talking big here.
Yeah, I am talking
Do
big.
you have anyone else in mind? Or
Well, I mean, I watched 2 Coyotes games in the last week, and I couldn't give you one Lawson Krause moment. So not sure I'd be
okay,
not
listen,
sure I'd be thrilled
maybe
to
it's
trade
not
the,
him.
the first in Cowan for
Maybe it's
him.
not him, but maybe it's Konechny. I mean,
Pardon?
Yep.
hello?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You heard me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Now we're
right
talking.
Right
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking all in, boys.
Buy that for $1.
$5.5 million this year and next. He's wearing an A now at 26 years old
Oh my God.
for the
Yeah.
Flyers.
Now we're talking Cowan.
Scrappy, competitive.
Yes.
Because I think
He's
Daniel Briere would have that conversation.
27 and 27. He's
Yeah.
at 54
I
points
do.
in
Listen,
57
To
games.
your point on our Cowan updates, okay, this guy is, if you talk about prospects, worldwide prospects, hockey prospects, I don't think there's been a guy that's shot up as much as he
I think
has
he's
in the
a
last year.
27 game point streak or more now.
People were going, Leafs were idiots for drafting him when he was ranked, 45th. And right now, if this guy was eligible for the draft today, he'd be a top 10 pick. Top 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're the Flyers, considering where you're trying to go, a first and a guy like that, you'd have to think
So-
about it. Because they're going to have to pay Konechny at some point, but Konechny would be up after Tavares' deal. Which if you're the
Konechny
Leafs, you'll love.
and Walker. Now are we talking?
Yeah.
And you've added Lyubushkin already?
Speaking of London, that's where Konechny's from. He's an Ontario boy. Sammy'd love that.
That's the
like,
type of
yeah, you're
blockbuster we're talking about.
Kipper. I can't say yes any more times. Like, yes, absolutely yes. But I just have a hard time believing that the Flyers would actually do it. I know Cowan has the upside. He's, like you said, he's probably one of the biggest prospects in the world at the moment. But just like, if you're the Flyers, Konechny isn't 31, right? He's 26. Like, he's going to be good he's just entering his prime as we speak. They're trying to be good quickly. He's a Flyer identity type of guy. I'd be surprised, but thrilled if they trade him to the Leafs. Right?
Interesting. Yeah. No, so that to me is the type of shakeup you're looking at. So no wonder Lyubushkin's not moving the needle for you.
Yeah. And then Lyubushkin gets a lot better when I get a defenseman, a top 4 legit guy.
On top of this.
Pal,
but they don't have it.
That's putting your cojones on the line right there.
I would say so. You're putting your job on the line the first year. I mean, it's. I love it. It would be fascinating to see.
27 game point streak for Easton Cowan.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Any concerns on Morgan Riley? Hoping to see the Morgan Riley before the All-Star break kind of guy. Is he struggling a little bit?
We joked about this last night, but sports coverage is much like the news, boys, where every certain beat of every year we hit a certain thing where it's like, oh, it's the St. Patrick's Day parade thing. Run the St. Patrick's Day parade piece. Yeah. We're hitting the time of year where Morgan Riley's having his regular season struggles, and we talk about how he's struggling, and then it's like when the regular season ends, the playoffs start, and he's great again. But yeah, he's struggling.
I don't mean to poo-poo this, but like on the list of Leafs things, to me, that's not high on my list of what has my attention these days. Like watching John Tavares play in the third line, struggling, frustrated, can't get it going, not on the power play. What's happening here is a bigger, in terms of veteran, important Leaf guys. That scares me more.
I don't see an out other than John's just going to have to work through it, and you hope that Yarncrook can come in and help him out a little bit here. And McMahon can shoot it in the net every once in a while, but I think they're kind of committed to this here.
You don't think this is just let's see how the Leafs lineup looks, spreading those guys out?
I don't know. Based on Willie Nylander starting training camp at center and then bailing that quickly, I'm saying who knows. Mm-hmm. But to me, to go back to John Tavares with Willie and locking in again to your top 4 highest paid guys going 1-2 again is a setback.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree with you.
And on top of that, you've come so far with Bertuzzi. Like, it took you this long to get him going, and he's a player now. And a very important player.
Kept one in, although he did rattle one off the post. Can you believe he shot the empty netter off the post?
Did you know what the total was in that game?
No.
It was that would have put it over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you had the over, that was it.
Betting night.
Yeah. But I'm saying if you went back to just the old JT way, do you lose Bertuzzi a little bit back?
Yeah,
do you
maybe
want to run that risk?
It's a good question. I would rather. Offensively, I think at this point you're going to get more out of a thriving Bertuzzi than John. Like, I'd rather have Tavares on the power play, in game 1, given the chance he could pop open, he can finish. He's a much better goal scorer than Bertuzzi ever could be. But I think Bertuzzi creates
This is
more.
where I want to kind of defend JT a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because he did score 18 goals on the power play last year.
That's what I'm saying. I would prefer him on the power play.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I don't want to lose Bertuzzi.
Yeah.
Either. So, and I know you're telling me, Kip, it's no different than 15 other teams out there. The big boys eat up the 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here to tell you you're wrong, but I am here to tell you that you can't have your cake and eat it too here. So, you might have to share a little bit more here and get JT back in. And listen, as painful as it may be, there might be some power plays where you got to start JT and sit Austin off of a commercial break. I don't know, but
you can totally talk me into that.
You cannot just say to JT,
it's over. Power play time's over for your career.
Done. Just sit there and be a good little boy.
Yeah.
Because you will lose JT I've seen it a million times. You hear the sound bites. He's a great guy. He'll do whatever he can to help the team. Blah, blah, blah.
Doesn't that sound like a problem to you?
It's just the game. It's just the way it's always been on any team in any era. The scores like their cookies.
But all the stories we hear about championship winning teams and what it takes to come together and whatever is about putting egos aside and doing what's best for the group. This guy's been in the league for 1,000 games, 1,000 points. Is it not reasonable to not lose your captain because he's not getting what he wants in terms of
it's
personal numbers?
For that cliche to work, it's circumstantial that you've kind of shaped and brought the group together over a long period of time. So when you're in this crunch period of the end of the regular season to start the playoffs, there are no mixed messages. You know exactly what your role is. You know where your fit is, and you know where the pecking order is in the room. I think there's a lot of confusion right now still in that Leaf dressing room where they're not sure where the pecking order is and where is the hierarchy and where do I fit in. Everybody's racing right now to get their ice time, get their cookies, get this, get that. And right now, they've got a lot of work to do still.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense to you?
Makes perfect sense to me, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, I mean, I only have my Ranger Stanley Cup year to experience over the course
Didn't
of
you win a Calder Cup
October.
too?
I won a Calder Cup
Well,
too.
I mean, you've been a part of it a couple times.
But it's not a flick the switch at the trade deadline, bring in 6 guys, and everybody falls into place real quick, unless you know exactly where your lane is and what your role is. And we kind of got lucky because we did make a lot of changes in 1994 with multiple trades. But every guy came in and fit like a glove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fit's important.
And right now, they're still working on that in that Leaf dressing room.
I think getting a number 2 center type would really clarify where things are at. Tavares is always going to be on at least the second power play unit, like at the very least. But if you bring in another guy who can, he's not going to play ahead of whoever you think it might be. I don't know, Adam Henrique maybe is the name that's at the tip of my tongue. But, I think people can slot in a little better. But I agree that there is a lack of clarity on, that pecking order right now and Bertuzzi and Tavares and all that.
Yeah. All right, what are we going to do? Take a break?
Yeah, let's hit a break.
All right, we'll get some more feedback on the Toronto Maple Leafs when we welcome in Luke Fox from Sportsnet.ca. So plenty more, including Off the Rails Friday with Doug MacLean. Can't wait for that one.
Oh, yeah.
More Real Kyper and Bourne after the break. Welcome back to Off the Rails Friday. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. All right, we're going to welcome in Luke Fox momentarily. Where else you got? You got a quick Kyper's Clipper out there, or where do you want to go?
Well, I was going to ask Luke about it, but I can ask you, where's Timothy Liljegren? What's going on? Yeah, let's listen to that clip. We have a clip on that.
All right.
Can I play that?
The
All right,
lily
let's
pad.
do clip 3 on what's up with Lily.
Yeah, he's another guy that's not necessarily ruled out for tomorrow, but not a certainty to play, obviously, given his absence in practice. But it was sort of purposeful today to get a feel for where he's at, but not to overdo it, so that it could be a possibility for tomorrow. Again, we'll determine with Liljegren, Yarncroc, and Lyubushkin, who's traveling in, and visa issues and all these kind of things that they gotta get sorted out that are out of our control. All those things will be determined tomorrow.
See, this is one of those where I get nervous right now because here's a right-handed D. You don't have that many in the whole organization, and he just disappears.
I know. Nothing happened. There was no
way too valuable to the Leafs.
Yeah, I've said this in previous years that I don't know where Liljegren's going to fit. They need him in this year. They need him to play. They need him to not just disappear with mysterious absences. Maybe our local guy knows.
Maybe our Luke Fox from Sportsnet.ca can tell us, where is Lily?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of a strange one, guys, that it seems to be lingering here. Sheldon Keefe has suggested before the last couple of games that, oh, maybe he'll be ready. And he just hasn't been. He's skated on his own. He did some work by himself ahead of the rest of the group for the morning skate yesterday, but he wasn't on the ice with the team today, and it's getting a little bit curious. The explanation is that he was banged up toward the end of the Colorado game, but that's a week ago. And this just keeps on lingering, and they're being really tight-lipped. I found with this new regime, if it's something long-term, like with Mark Giordano, they just come out and say right away, it's the head. Or, with Liljegren's first injury, they said it's a high ankle sprain when the guy's going to be away. But when it's something more minor, or they're hoping he's going to get back into the lineup sooner than later, they're being a little bit more coy this year.
That's interesting. He really looked toward, until he got hurt there, it looked like he was finding it again a little bit, and you can see the positive version of what he could be for them in playoffs.
No, 100%. And I think a lot of it had to do with Morgan Rielly being out of the lineup. And this was a bit of a silver lining because all of a sudden they needed someone to quarterback that top power play. And so all of a sudden he's getting, these offensive touches. He was getting a bunch of points. I think, he had a string of multi-point games, and that got his confidence going. I remember in particular at Mullet Arena after that game, we talked to him, and it was the most positive he had sounded all season. He's a guy that's very mild-mannered, kind of quiet, and he's hard on himself in a very low-key way when things aren't going well on the ice. But he started to feel more encouraged, the fact that the team's winning, but he's contributing to that winning. I think he needs that offensive side of his game to be going to feel a little bit better about his defensive game. And I remember in that game against the Coyotes, he even finished some checks really hard, establishing a bit more of a physical presence. So this injury, however severe it is, it's kind of come at a bad time because it just seemed like he was getting his momentum back and after a really inconsistent season altogether.
Luke, got to ask you about Lyubushkin, his return. A very popular guy, I would imagine. I'm hearing he's absolutely thrilled to come back. Is it just a foregone conclusion? He's just going to pick up where he left off before leaving for the big bucks?
Yeah, I mean, it always helps, right, to have that familiarity, especially when you're coming in late in the season. He was beloved. I remember Jake Muzzin was over the moon for this guy. Any question you'd ask him about, he's like, I love the Boosh. I love the Boosh. and I think it's just because he brought that physical element that at that point, Muzzin was the only guy bringing. Now, you look at their top 6D, and with Lyubushkin in, you got Benoit, Lyubushkin, and McCabe that'll force opposition to keep their head up because they're willing to finish a check or even drop the gloves if necessary. And I think, we're starting to see Brad Treliving's fingerprints a little bit more on the blue line. The fact that he's buddies with a lot of the core guys. He was a team first guy, Morgan Rielly was saying today. I think that helps. And I actually think it helps Ilya Samsonov. So low-key, these guys are actually really close off the ice. They've had some vacations together. They're two families. And Samsonov has been on a bit of an island as the only Russian on the team. So I think they're going to help each other. It's the same with the Swedes in that room. It always helps if you have someone from your own country that you're a little bit familiar with, just get acclimatized. And his game is the type of game that you're not bringing in a new guy to run the power play. You're bringing in a guy to bang it off the glass, box guys out, stop cycles, very simple stuff that should translate. And then you'd like to think that he'll be a little bit more inspired. His only taste of the playoffs was in that one spring with the Leafs. Otherwise he's been on bad Sabres teams, bad Ducks teams, bad Coyotes teams. So yeah, his numbers aren't fantastic, but you think if he's surrounded by better players, he'll elevate a little bit too.
Well, that's great. I think the Samsonov thing is a very worthwhile note. The guy who's kind of finding it a little bit, which brings me to goaltending. We have gone 45 minutes and we didn't mention the return of Joseph Woll, which was, a fairly large story from last night. I thought he looked fantastic. What was your impressions of his return and what this means for the Leafs crease going forward?
Yeah, Sheldon Keefe said he was the difference in the game,
Yeah.
and you'd have to agree. He wasn't tested much early. It took almost 10 minutes for him to face his first shot. And, as a guy making his first start since the first week of December, he probably would wanted to see some pucks, but he just has the right mentality that, okay, I'm just going to be set and be prepared. And when this starts coming, and, the Coyotes actually outplayed the Leafs for probably the second half of that game. And he stood strong. His movements were calm in the crease. And I think there was like some emotional meaning behind that win. I think it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you're testing out an injury, especially an injury that is caused by a movement a goalie has to make over and over and over again, pushing post to post. That's how he got hurt. And that's something he has to get over the mental hurdle of doing multiple times a game. And it's one thing to do it at the AHL. It's another thing under the bright lights. And, I walked into the dressing room post game, and he was just kind of sitting there, really, his head down, and he seemed to be having a moment. And beside him was the player of the game belt that the Max Domi awarded to him after the game. And he said, one thing, it meant a lot to be playing and to finally stop thinking about when am I going to be ready to play. That was very mentally taxing for him. And the second thing was, you don't feel part of the guys when you're off rehabbing, when you're staying back from road trips and you're working on simple ankle movements or working with the goalie coach all the time. You don't feel one of the boys. So he said that was the second thing that really, meant a lot to him last night. And it's really important, to get your first win in your first game back. It gets the engine running. Like if you start out and you haven't played in 3 months and you lose, then maybe you start getting in your head and start wondering, am I fully back yet? So really solid showing from Woll.
We're talking to Luke Fox, Leafs writer for Sportsnet.ca. If we're going to stick with the positives, despite maybe being outplayed by Arizona Coyotes last night, let's go to Ryan Reaves. There was a time this season, Luke, I mean, we watched him and said, I think he's done.
Like career.
And now contributing some key minutes for them and playing that heavy game, big fight last night with O'Brien, and looks like the guy that Tree Living had no problem giving a 3-year deal to.
Yeah. Another great story. I mean, it's funny, right? There's the Samsonov story and there's the Reeves story of guys that you're really wondering if they had a future on the roster for the rest of the season at one point, and just sort of resurrected. He's leapfrogged over Noah Gregor, established himself on the fourth line. So I had a long talk with Ryan Reaves earlier this week for a story that's going to drop tomorrow morning. And a lot of it's about Matt Rempe and how he sees himself in Rempe, a younger version of himself, of course, coming into the league, wanting to fight everything that moves is how Reaves put it. I think the fact that it's all intertwined. Yes, he gets the fight, but he's also scored a goal this week. He also feels like he's established himself in the lineup. And he told me, I don't feel like I'm myself when I'm not in the lineup on a regular basis. He's like, I'm starting to feel like myself again. He's like, I can't be that loud guy in the dressing room if I'm not in the lineup. I can't be one of the guys. And he also mentioned that last week's Midwest road trip, going out to Arizona, having a couple days off with the guys really helped the group bond. And he said that he took a few guys to an escape room and they just got out with like 2 minutes left. And he's like, it's silly, but these type of camaraderie things really help the group. And he built himself as a glue guy. And that's why Tree Living brought him in. So he can't be, the two are intertwined. He can't be effective on the ice if he's not that guy in the room. Yeah. And he can't be that guy in the room if he's not delivering on the ice. So he feels like the fourth line has found its stride, and he's been a big part of that. He's doing the biceps flex, pointing to that. He's all in. His personality is back, and that's a guy who needs to have that personality in order to thrive. And I'm just waiting for Reaves or Rempe to lay a questionable hit, because I think there's the potential for fireworks tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll even need to be a hit. I'm curious to see how eager those two guys will be to be involved. The escape room thing is fascinating to me. Like, you went to Arizona and that's what you did, an escape room?
Yeah.
All right.
I would have.
Yeah.
Well, he said a bunch of guys
If it
went
rained
golfing,
and I
but-
couldn't golf, I would do it.
Say.
Yeah. No, but I mean it seems like kind of childish. Like that's what take a 11-year-old to do at a birthday party or something. But it works, right? You're forced to figure stuff out. It's like a bit of an icebreaker for guys that may not sit together on the plane or whatever. But he said they had a blast.
Awesome stuff. All right, Luke, we'll let you go, pal. Thanks for doing this. Enjoy the game tomorrow night.
All right. Have a good weekend and good luck with Doug.
All right.
Thanks,
We'll
Luke.
need
Appreciate it.
We'll need it. Okay, let's pick up on the Ryan Reaves conversation. But first, let's go to a Kippers Clipper number 7 on his big fight last night out of Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah, I love the fight, love the spirit, love the energy. Got the crowd going. It's somewhat of a quiet, slow start. It took a while before the shots and chances started to come for either team. So it brought some energy, juice, and it's great for Revo to have that. But Revo's played some really good hockey for us here of late, and that's been great to see. He's skating to me on another level and making plays and advancing the puck and doing all the things you need him to do. And then tonight, called for him to show that other side of it. But thrilled that he stood in there and did his thing that we've come to know and expect over his career.
You really leaned into that, playing really good hockey for us.
All right, let's just open it right up here, okay? And we're not promoting anything.
No, I am. That was awesome.
was last
Chris
night?
Farley on SNL.
Was last night just the warm up for the main event Saturday night with this Matt Rempe?
How is it not?
It's got to be.
I mean,
you listen to Sheldon, and it's like, I'm going to the game.
like Rempe wants to fight everyone in the league, and you get a chance to go up against Ryan
It's
Reaves.
set up perfectly. Okay.
Well, for this kid
did
to never
Ryan
play
Reaves
again.
flex the muscle last night for Arizona or the Rangers coming in? Was that not a bit of a message that you want to be the heavyweight champ? You got to come through me a little bit here.
I don't know. You think it was? You think he's thinking big picture?
Yeah, I got big picture out of that.
I think he just beat the brakes off somebody and was fired up. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But it could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been.
You can't have that fight and lift the and avoid him Saturday night unless he doesn't want to
The
dance.
only possibility is that Rempe has been told, just like, we don't want you doing that for no reason. Like, something happens and you need to
I
find.
doubt that.
Yeah, I
highly
also doubt that they
that.
have him there and want him to not do the thing he does.
We got to do the read here, but Reeves got a great grab on
He did have a good grab.
O'Brien. And
O'Brien
it was just,
almost died.
it was
He missed him with one that was like,
As soon as he got that grab, I was like, this is not good for O'Brien.
Yeah.
All right. Join Cobb's Bread tomorrow for Donation Day, where $2 from every 6-pack of their hot cross buns sold will be donated to over 100 local charities with a target goal of over $500,000. To celebrate, we're giving away $100 Cobb's Bread gift cards all week. To enter, text the daily code word to 590-590. Today's code word is one of their hot cross bun flavors, apple cinnamon. Text apple cinnamon to 590-590 right now for your chance to win. Cobb's Bread bakes fresh in-house all day, every day. And when the doors close, all the leftover baked goods are donated to local charities. The next morning, boys, they start fresh. Apple cinnamon to 590-590 right now.
so they give food away when the doors close. I might be at the back door. Apple cinnamon hot cross buns. Let's
I know
go.
who's dumped their arm around through.
When you get about 12 or 13 of those reads, you get really good at them.
Oh,
Man.
thank you.
Really
Thank
nailed
you.
the
I
apple
just-
cinnamon read. He was excited about the apple
cinnamon,
cinnamon.
590,
Get your
baby.
crayon orange out of here. Bring me the apple cinnamon.
All right.
Traditional fruit.
We're shutting down the Leaf Edition. We're going national next. Our thanks to Luke Fox. And when we return, Doug MacLean. And the latest update on Elias Pettersson and the Vancouver Canucks.
Been traded to the Leafs.
Don't miss it. Here we go. Friday on the national edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show, which means Off the Rails with Doug MacLean. And we'll bring Doug in just a minute. In the meantime, we're glad everybody's aboard wherever you're watching and listening, live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. And this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. So tons to get into, including Elias Pettersson, who has just taken over
The news cycle.
the news cycle, I think, throughout the National Hockey League. A top player having a top year who needs a new contract. One of those rarities where it's not a guy going into unrestricted free agency because they have 1 year to control him as an RFA, but we all know that they're negotiating as if he's a UFA. So as Elliot Friedman reported yesterday, as well as Frank Saravelli earlier in the week, the parties are back together. The sense was from Elliot, guys, that there was some talk between Vancouver and Carolina, and whether or not it was legit or maybe just a signal to Pettersson and his group that we got to get serious here. It was enough to bring them back to the table. And I can tell you the latest I am hearing on this situation is that I think it did work in terms of the legitimacy in the negotiations and the fact that it does shape up like he's ready to sign a contract.
Really?
But there is some talk now that they're in a situation where they're not sure on the length of the deal. So it's my understanding that the Vancouver Canucks presented him with an 8-year deal in the ballpark of $96 million, which would be a 12 AAV. But now I don't know if it's a fight or a negotiation on the length of the deal. And this is where we'll bring in Doug MacLean here as a former NHL president, GM, and head coach. Of course, author of Draft Day. Vancouver Canuck fans are going, I don't care. Yeah. We don't care about Doug MacLean in the Draft Day. But I will tell you that that's where it seems to stand now, Doug, is that Vancouver would like to sign him to an 8-year deal. I think Pettersson would like to be maybe in the 5 or under length of the deal. But here's the kicker. He still wants the $12 million AAV.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to know what was coming back in the Carolina BS trade.
Oh, BS.
Like, what was coming back? Aho? Who else was coming back? Like, give me a break. But this is intimidating. This is intimidating Pat Brisson and Barry. Are you serious? This is an intimidation factor to coerce him into negotiating? Come on. Are you buying that? Seriously.
Well, listen, I mean, if it got his attention, Mac, it's working because they're at the table.
I'm not buying it.
Is there something wrong? Is there something wrong with going to Carolina? Is that what are we talking? Arizona they were going to trade him to, or Columbus, or was it Carolina, who's a Stanley Cup contender? Like, come on.
Also could you imagine doing that to the Vancouver Canuck fan base? You've been a gutter team for a while. All of a sudden, you're first in the division. You got cup hopes, and you're going to trade Pettersson for what? To Doug's point.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Who was coming back? So anyway, look, Pettersson is a key guy there. He hasn't. Why? What has happened to this team? And I think it's a really important point here. We'll get to Pettersson in a minute, but I think it's a really good point here. Sometimes at the trade deadline, you try to make the perfect team. And we all sat here a few weeks ago and raved about Lindholm, okay? Mm-hmm. What has happened to the team since Lindholm has come in there? Guys have moved out of position. Guys have had to play with different people. Has that, in fact, affected the team right now? There's some animosity within the group here. We know that. We keep hearing that nonstop. So what is really going on? Talk is not happy with the way they're playing. So, Pettersson has been a part of it, that he hasn't played very well. Now, last night I read he's mad at Quinn and Hornick. I mean, eventually something's going to give here. This is a Stanley Cup contending team based on the season. And I mean, I just haven't seen it lately. So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Pettersson, yeah, the term is a big factor. There's no doubt the term can be a factor here. It's a big factor, especially if he wants that kind of money.
Okay,
if he wants the 12.
Let me ask you something. I'm going to put you in Jimmy Rutherford and Patrick Alvin's shoes here. Okay, you just offered him $12 million times 8, and he says, "Thank you, I'll take the 12 at 5." And you tell him what?
Not a chance. Oh, not a chance. Not a chance. You're doing it. But you know, if it's getting that close, I agree with you that it's going to get done. I mean, Pat Brisson and they're not gonna not get this done when the $12 million has been thrown out there and the 8 years. I don't for a minute believe this will not get done.
Kip, do you think he would prefer shorter, like three shorter, four shorter?
I think it's the Austin Matthews. How can he become the highest paid guy at 13.25 next year and only do it on a 4-year extension? Why can't I have that same kind of contract? I think I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But I mean,
how important is 3 extra years, Mac, to Vancouver?
It's real important. It's real important. It's not going to affect Jimmy that much. It's going to affect Alvin. Jimmy will be long gone when that deal comes up. But I mean, there's no way around it. They've got to figure this out and get it done and get him back to playing the way he's capable of playing, being a superstar in the league. If they don't get him done and get him playing back to his game, and is that moving him to center and putting JT Miller on the wing? I mean, what's that all about? I mean, they got to figure this out, because if they don't have Pettersson going full force, they're not going to win. They may not even get out of the first round if they don't get this guy's head straightened out.
Do you think that this could have an effect on the team? I don't necessarily, but I talked to a couple of people who are like, yeah, it's becoming a distraction. Like, would it be affecting their play, this whole saga?
I think it's affecting Pettersson's play. I think that's the only guy that's probably really being affected by it. Yeah. I don't think the other guys. I mean, how can it affect you when the guy's being offered $12 million times 8?
He's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. I mean, I wouldn't really worry about him. But I mean, Brisson and the guys have got to be a little realistic here too, and they will at the end of the day get this deal done.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it'll be done, and I think you're right on the money.
Mac, in terms of everything else, can you just kind of chalk it up to 82 games is a long season, and it's okay. They're a good team, and they're just going through a little adversity right now. It's going to help them down the road.
Well, maybe, but they have never been a very good team for a number of years. And all of a sudden, they're in first place in the entire NHL, and now, things are sputtering, and they have been for a few weeks. So can they get it going again? It'll be interesting. But I'm going to tell you something, boys. The first round is going to be unbelievably challenging. They could win or lose the first round the same as Edmonton, the same as Vegas, the same as any number of teams in the Western Conference. Anybody can lose in the first round. So you've got to get this fixed ASAP and get the ship righted and get people back playing their game.
Do you have anything else on Vancouver?
No, I'm good.
I got a question for Bourne here.
Oh, boy.
I know you're an expert analytics
Called
guy.
You Bourne. It's serious.
I'm listening.
You're a serious guy. One of the greatest acquisitions in trade deadline history was a guy you're really familiar with.
Butch Gordon.
Butch.
Who would that? Okay.
Butch.
The only guy in the history of the NHL to win the Masterton, Lady Byng, and Conn Smythe. 4 Stanley Cups. Why is this guy not in the Hall of Fame? Can you explain that to me? When I see people that are going in, can you please explain that to me? This is what I looked up, because you're saying I never have good questions, with your smart-ass comments. So I wanted to come with a good one for you today.
Yeah,
so
and we're stumped. Are we not stumped?
No, 100% stumped. I mean, listen, you got my backing there. I thought I was in real trouble, not support Butch Goring trouble. Hey, I'm on your team, Doug.
Did you and Biz Nasty come up with this together?
Yeah, it's nasty. Like, seriously, of all people to go after in the league, Butch Goring, who should be in the Hall of Fame. But anyway, look, so that's interesting. Interesting the trade deadline, you got to be a little careful. I heard you guys raving about Lyubushkin. And,
Just me. I'm
Fox.
the only one who likes it, Doug.
Yeah.
We only like it if there's 2 or 3 more trades.
Yeah, we got another fourth pair or third pair. It's good. I mean, I think it's good. It's a third pair, and he's a physical guy, and I think I give him credit for getting him as a depth guy. But let's not get all fired up here. Like, I've listened to you guys, and I love Fox there, but like, come on, it's not the second coming of Bobby Orr coming to the Leafs. It's Lyubushkin.
When we talk about 2 teams in Canada, the Leafs and Edmonton, who could dearly use a top 4D, how big of a miss is that for those 2 teams on Tanev?
It's a miss. There's no doubt about that. Both of them could have used him. It's funny. I had heard Dallas were going to get him, and he's a great fit for Dallas. He's a great fit for Dallas. There's no denying that. But for both those teams, it's a big miss because of what they're going to face in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, Edmonton and Vegas could meet in the first round of the playoffs. And it's going to be real. It's a really big miss for those teams not to get him. And what was it? They didn't want to give up the first round pick. I guess that's what it must have been.
Yeah, not sure exactly what it was.
So with the Leafs not getting Tanev, is there any truth to the fact that the owner would not let them trade him to Toronto? Do you really believe that Murray Edwards is standing in the way because Tree Living left? That wouldn't happen, would it?
Not with an offer you can't refuse. I agree with that.
What about with a slightly better offer? Would you refuse a slightly better offer?
So is it that they valued the Dallas prospect higher than the Leaf first pick? Could that just have been it?
I can't believe that. I mean, I think this guy's going to be a solid defenseman, not a, is that one
third pair
guy you would
third pair guy?
Future Lyubushkin?
Yeah, third pair guy. Well, he better be better than Lyubushkin. I mean, I know Lyubushkin's the greatest guy. By the way, there's just something about in the NHL as a GM. How often do you bring a guy back to a team after he's gone and it works out?
Do you have stats on
Not
this?
very often.
Oh.
Not very often.
That's his stat.
Not very often.
Not very often.
It's almost an unwritten rule that you don't go there.
Really?
So we'll see.
I've never heard of that.
We'll see.
I can't.
Well, hey, listen, that's why you had me on here to bring it. There's lots of things you haven't heard of that I say,
I can't stop thinking of Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey asking if the moon was made of spare ribs, would you eat it with these glasses Doug's got right now?
So how about this one? Are we finished with?
Yeah,
do you want me to?
But you go anywhere
okay.
you want.
Whatever you want to do.
What about Vegas? Is there any chance they're going to take a major run at Gensel?
Well, listen,
to play with Eichel.
Everybody's saying that Stone's out. It's an easy fit with the contracts.
100%. And all of a sudden, Gensel and Eichel and Marchessault and Carlson, all of a sudden you got and Stone coming back. You've got a pretty good looking top 6 there. So that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Pretty good top 6 with the best decor in the league, I would say. It's a nice combo, Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem they've got, I don't know if you've watched them lately, but the big 6'6" goalie, one of the reasons he was good is because he was 6'6" and big, and the puck hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now he's trying to make saves, and it's going through him every which way. If he would just play big and block instead of trying to make saves, I think he'd be a lot better off because they've got to get him. Yeah. They've got to get him going.
We're talking to Doug MacLean, NHL goaltending coach for 25 years.
I'm the Warren Strelo of goaltending coaches.
Listen, if it's Gensel, we would think that Kyle Dubas is asking for the moon. We hear Hanifin could be 3 pieces in terms of maybe a couple of first rounders. Like, are these prices going to drop as we get closer to next Friday?
The other thing is with it, like the Heyman thing, maybe he'll just let him go at the end of the season, Gensel, for nothing. So that may be a way to get Gensel too, the same way as they got 40 goal scorer Hyman, you know?
Yeah,
Hyman.
You were leaning into our boy McKee about Hyman, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, like seriously. I mean, Hyman, and what about Trevor Moore? What about the way this kid's playing? That's if the Leafs just had those 2 guys right now on their roster and they added 1 defenseman, they'd be contending right now.
How about
That's how critical those 2 guys leaving have affected the Leafs.
How about a line of Trevor Moore on the left side, Kadri in the middle, and Hyman on the right side? Is that where you want to go? Yeah. Sammy's leaving now.
I didn't want to nail the coffin shut. I just wanted to tease Sammy, you know. But I didn't want to go after him and devastate him, you know. So
all the guys he named have some scrap to their game. Kip dropped a name in the first hour that would be interesting. Do you think Philly would be open to moving some of the bigger names that we've talked about? Like, I like Travis Konechny. Could that be a fit? Yeah. Not for the Leafs.
I don't see Connect. I can't believe when they're in the middle of a rebuild, they would move out of Konechny. I think he's too important a guy, but you know, who knows what's going on there. You know, Lawton, I hear his name out there all the time. Lots of guys are looking, like Edmonton, I think, are looking for a 3rd-line guy. Would it be Lawton? Would it be Henrik? One of those types. But you know, I can't believe Konechny would be available. But I mean, he'd be a great addition to most teams for sure.
So, Mac, let me ask you something. Just in terms of
just one other name is, you know, our boy in Boston, DeBrusk. I mean,
you hearing his name out there?
I keep hearing his name out there that they're not going to pay him next year. They can't pay him next year.
Go look at his playoff numbers. This guy shows up in the playoffs.
Big time.
I'd be all over DeBrusk if he was available.
And I've got to believe that there's how can he not be out there with his contract situation and with how he's played? So I've got to believe he's in play somewhere, and you know, it'll be real interesting to see if somebody can pick him up, because he's the perfect guy for a playoff team when you know, for a little bit of grit. I mean, Hanifin, I still say Boston are going to take a run at him, but everybody else is saying Tampa. Geez, I can't believe that'll happen, but we'll see.
So let me ask you, we've had 2 trades in the last day between Tanev and Lyubushkin, both involved 3rd teams with salary retention. Is this just the way it is now? You can never make a trade ever again without somebody coming in and saving the day. And I think in Lyubushkin's case, they get a 6th round pick to pick up what? 200, 400 grand. Mac, let me ask you something.
It's unbelievable.
If I owned a team, like, I'm not paying 300 or 400 grand for a 6th round pick. A 6th round pick is the same to me as a PTO tryout. You've got as much of a chance as inviting a guy to training camp than you do with a 6th round pick.
I think Zetterberg was a 7th round pick, wasn't he? If you read Draft Day.
You could get Pierre Engvall.
Why, Mac? Like, can you imagine calling a 3rd team all the time now to make a trade?
Easy
investment. I mean, that's the way it is. We know that now. You spend half your day chasing teams that'll pick up money for picks. And we've seen it go on for a few years. It's become the way to get around the cap, to circumvent the cap. It's the way to do it. It's just another way to make it happen. And I got a kick out of reading when the guys Daily Faceoff did the breakdown of that trade with, you know, Jersey. I thought Jersey picking up this little bit. And I'm thinking, this is such a joke. Like, it took me 15 minutes to read who picked up money so that he ends up going for like peanuts. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know,
How
so
cool-
I don't like it, but that's the name of the game.
Listen,
to get around money.
how thrilled would Jack Hughes be right now to hear about
Guess what we got?
picking up a pick for parking money? He's got to be thrilled, eh?
Yeah, especially when Tanev was traded to them first and then moved
You
on.
should have
from
just
them.
kept Tanev.
I would, yeah. Hey, I think the other thing is Markstrom. You know what is going on with Markstrom now?
we haven't got to that yet.
He's ticked off now about that with management. So what do they do with him over the next number of days here before the deadline? So I mean, he's a franchise goaltender. It's Jersey. I mean, they probably going to miss the playoffs because of their goaltending. But
Sammy,
where could he go?
do you have that sound of Markstrom, or do you have a quote, or what do you have?
We had the sound. I think.
Okay, let's play it. Let's play it. Can we play it? How long is it?
I'm not sure, but we'll play it.
Okay, we'll play it until we tell Derek to cut it off.
Have you parked any talk of a trade in your mind? Is that not going to happen for sure?
I mean, I think there's everyone in here, every player in here. I really respect them. Everything that's been going on and not going on, and it's how everyone in this room have handled everything. I think it's been really good, and then the whole situation and everything. I'm happy about that. No, I'm not, and I think it could have been handled a lot different from up top.
Okay, Mac, you were an executive for well over 20 years. What is a rookie like Craig Conroy feeling when he hears one of his star players, a leader on his team, says he gives you a shot that it could have been handled better up top?
Yeah, you would hate it. You would hate it because as a management person, if you get into a battle with a player, you have no chance to win with your fan base. Mm-hmm. You have no chance to win that because the fan base will always go with the player over the course of time. They will always side with the player. And that's why you want to keep it out of the media at all costs, because it's a no-win situation for management with your fan base and within the dressing room. So
is that what he's talking about, though? He's mad that it got out, we think? That's what Markstrom would be frustrated by?
Listen, I remember Pierre Lacroix telling me one time we made a trade. I may have told you this before, but I traded a second-round pick before the draft. Pierre and I made a deal. A second-round pick for Marc Denis, and it was before the draft. And it was on hold basically. And Pierre said to me, "Doug, you're a first-time GM in the league. I'm going to tell you something. If this gets out in public that we have made this trade, it'll be off, and we won't ever do another deal again. Because I can tell you, Doug, it won't come from the Avs organization if it gets out." And it was a great lesson for me as a first-year GM to make sure nothing come out of our organization like that. And it's not easy. It's not easy to keep it in-house.
Just to give people, and we're going into a trade deadline, so this is just give people an idea of once you consummate the trade, how many people would have known from your side?
My key people in the office would know, and it would be your assistant GM,
one,
your director of pro scouting,
two,
your director of amateur scouting,
three, and you.
Those would be the me. Those would be the hockey people that would know, the hockey people. Now today it would be also, your cap person would be in the mix as well today. And other than that, and I used to say to the guys all the time, I mean, boys, this better not get out, because there are lots of deals you got to sit. We had to sit on that deal for almost 10 days, because it didn't come through till just at the draft.
Do you think with all the insiders and, guys calling every day and hounding, I hated that part, by the way. You just call people like 12 times a day till they just break. I'm sick of this guy.
12? You called me a ton more than 12. Between you and Bob McKenzie, I could never get off my phone. Between the two of you bugging me about it. I mean, seriously.
Did you ever give scoops to Bob over Nick?
You keep going until one of them talks.
Breaks. Yeah, exactly.
Breaks.
You keep bugging us. And I knew eventually I was going to get fired and I needed you to get me a job. Little did I know you'd keep me around for 20 years.
I got you I got you a job. I got you a book deal. I got you. What else did I get you? I got you. You're a professor now.
Zip.
You're a professor now.
By the way, Simon & Schuster are saying it's crazy, the sales with that book.
You think it's the best in history? Do you think it beats War and Peace?
Just behind the Bible, I've heard.
It's the biggest sports book sold in Canada.
We've got to stop showing this cover. We haven't shown the cover of your book this season.
The Bible, War and Peace, and Draft Day.
People are phoning me. Where can I buy it? Where can I buy it? I said, leave me alone.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Anyway,
Canada.
I got a call. Would I do a second book? And you would love to hear the reply, but it couldn't be printed or talked on TV.
Anything to keep you busy. Like, how many times can you go to the beach and look for loose change with your,
His metal detector.
Your metal detector.
Just a guy, one name to keep it. This Laurie kid in Boston, the defenseman in Boston.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye on that name to see there, because if Boston are going to make a big deal, they don't have a first, second, or third round pick. And this guy is a good looking prospect.
He is.
And would Boston ever consider a player like that to make the big deal? Because of not having
deal, right? Okay.
That is hard to do when you've got a big kid like that with the upside he is. Those are tough deals to make. Anyway, again, I'm just trying to throw some tidbits at you guys to try to,
liven the show up a bit.
Mix. Keep you in the mix.
One more for me, and it's heartbreaking to see a guy like Josh Norris go down again, Mac. The guy's had 2 shoulder surgeries already, and he's out for quite a period of time. Many believe that it's the shoulder again. Some people suggesting that it may be a situation where you have to go fix something again on it. So, really? I mean, it's hard when a guy like that is just still starting his career, and you're watching this.
Devastating, and especially when it's $8 million a year times 8 years. That's what's really it's devastating to the kid. I know that's not left on. What is there, 6 years left on this deal?
Yes.
At $8 million a year. I mean, that's a tough situation for the kid, and it's tough for the organization, because Ottawa were counting on this guy becoming, I don't know, not a franchise player, but a very, very good player.
Oh, a top centerman, right?
Yeah. A top centerman. And so it'll be interesting. But what about Ottawa? Like, Nick, you were going to buy the team.
Well, not me.
Oh my
not
God.
me.
Yeah, Nick was going to buy it.
Not me.
I keep looking at this team and I'm thinking, what is wrong with Stützle? What's wrong with these guys? Like, come on. 19-0 were the shots the other night. Like, if you're coaching that game in the third period, like, have some pride. Like, what are they going to do to fix this group?
Just get better goaltending next season, and I maybe it's Korpisalo comes back and finds his touch, but
I agree 100%.
They need better goaltending. It solves a lot.
Also, it's gone on all year long. Can we call the guy Stützle yet? Stützle?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Stützle. What's wrong with them?
I don't know.
But anyway, they gotta fix it. And look, goaltending has nothing to do with being outshot 19-0. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
19-0.
You got me there.
Anyway.
You got me there. Okay. So
yeah.
What's up for the weekend? What do you got? Porsche.
I had
change the tires.
Look, I had a great swim. I had a great walk on the beach this morning for an hour. I burned a lot of calories because I was in the sand going. And then I had a great swim this afternoon.
Do you wear a shower cap?
Exercise swim. Yeah, I should have, by the look of my hair.
You and your new buddy. Don't you have a beach buddy, Mike Milbury, now?
Oh, I met Mike Milbury on the beach yesterday. That's where I got the best left winger in Bruin history, Brad Marchand, the best left winger in Boston Bruin history, and will be a first Hall of Famer, first voting.
Wow,
Brad Marchand.
That's according to Milbury
in Boston Bruin history.
That's according to Milbury.
I was talking to Milbury, and Harry Sinden's name came up because, as you know, Harry's the guy I replaced at Sportsnet Worldwide when Harry retired at 91. So
you're like a baby.
But it was Harry saying like Brad Marchand's the best Bruin. And then people say, what about Johnny Busick? What about Wayne Cashman? And I'm saying, what about Brad Marchand? The career this guy has had. Yeah. Seriously.
Good player.
I mean, do you agree with me?
Yeah, he's a good player.
And the best left winger in Boston. That's saying something, Boston Bruin history.
Seriously, I don't know. Dave Reed. I'm trying to think some left wingers.
I know you have Mitch Marner as the best winger in Leafs history, and geez.
Did you not see that behind the pass to Matthew Knives last night? Come on, Mac.
Oh yeah, and I every time to say goodnight to Jill, I said, "Oh my God, Kip would be so excited." Marner made 3 passes tonight. He'd be so excited.
I'm glad I'm one of your last thoughts before you fall asleep. It warms my heart.
You're my last thought before I take my melatonin and go to sleep.
You're brutal. Way to throw it right into the ditch, Mac. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Mac.
Boys. Take care.
That is Doug MacLean, former NHL president.
Check on the Butch scoring for me. Check on Butch scoring for me. Okay.
We got to go to commercial.
I don't know. I get exhausted after his segment.
All right, let's go to break, and then we'll come back and do game time. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Throw it to break, Sammy.
You're listening to Real Kyper and Bourne. Now it's the break.
Back in studio. National edition of Real Kyper and Bourne. Sammy, what do you got for us? Game time?
Turn your mic on. It is game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary. Bet365 must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So just checking in on some futures because I'm going to be honest with you, fellas. Love hockey. Tonight might be a nice night to take your significant other out for a nice dinner, watch a movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to say tonight's NHL slate isn't great, but the Calder Memorial Trophy, Connor Bedard is up to a minus 550 favorite. Has he scored since he's come back?
I don't know what his numbers are. I haven't seen him on the highlights much other than who slashed him.
Oh,
Manson?
Manson got him pretty good in the hand yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
He has not scored since February 19th. So, he scored since he's been back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But not in it.
No, 4 straight games. He's got no goals, 1 assist over the last 4 games.
To me, this is just like they've made it up. So he came back and he scored against Ottawa. So he's got 2 since he came back. It just feels like this is already made up, that they're just going to give it to him. So maybe you avoid that one. But you can get the field, which I guess is just Brock Faber. If you want to bet against that, it's plus 375.
What's field and what's Faber?
The field is plus 375 and Faber is plus 400. And the next closest is Luke Hughes at plus 1900. So if you think it's going to be anyone other, it's going to be Faber, and you can bet on him. Yeah. The Hart Memorial Trophy. Who would you think is the favorite for this trophy at the moment?
Was it McDavid?
Mm-mm.
Is it Matthews?
Austin jump up?
Yeah, Austin's the favorite at plus 180. Nathan McKinnon second at plus 210. Kucherov 270. McDavid plus 360. Adds one last night. 74 goal pace.
74.
Yeah.
It's really hard to argue 74. Mm-hmm. And still very much into that 25% range of scoring all Leaf goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. That alone wins you the Hart.
The numbers are pretty wild.
It's crazy that he's going to score that many. And the last one I have is the Stanley Cup favorite. And who, I think Borny maybe brought this up to me today, but who do you think the favorite is? To a question you already know the answer to.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Florida.
No.
They're second.
It's the Oilers.
Oilers.
Plus 700. To me, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't mean to call it our wonderful sponsor, Bet365, who I love very much. But
they really should talk to us.
Florida is.
Don't you think?
Is based on where people are going to put their money.
They're trying to get a bit more Oiler fan money on this. But
Or
I'm just
protect themselves
surprised.
from it. Yeah.
Like, they're just not the best team in the league.
Listen, just call us. We'll help you out.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you'll do that for free too, right, Kyper?
No, there'll be a small charge.
And if you want the other Canadian teams, the Vancouver Canucks are 10-1, the Jets are 12-1, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 13-1, and it goes down from there. So there you go.
The old Leafies are sneaking up in terms of like points percentage.
Yeah.
They're ahead of the Oilers now. And sneaking up on our other Canadian friends.
So there you go. That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Guys want some text?
Text time. All right. Text
Just one note on the 3 games tonight.
Oh, okay.
New Jersey.
And
so
Anaheim.
lots of talk, as we mentioned earlier in the show, about a goaltender and, Markstrom, a little ticked off.
Yeah.
And we're kind of wondering why.
Yes, I want your thoughts.
Yeah. I don't. It's got to be because he wants to go and try to win a Stanley Cup.
So you think he wanted to go to New Jersey?
I think
and he's upset that it didn't work out.
Yes. I think that he knows he's got a small window here to go try to win. It's not going to happen in Calgary anytime soon. He wants to win.
Interesting, because, he made some comments on basically supporting, the team has been good as they've been trading away good players, but he's been watching good players go out. He knows how old he is. He wants to go somewhere where he thinks he has a chance. I would also imagine he sees Dougie Hamilton coming back to New Jersey next season and knows that they're going to be good for some years here.
Yeah.
So he'll have a shot there.
Where is New Jersey
And
right now?
Frankly, the Metro's not great.
Right? They're on the outside looking in, are they not?
Oh,
yeah.
significantly.
Significantly.
Yeah, they're not.
Like we assume 5 teams in the East.
The Devils are 5 points behind the Flyers for third in the Metro with a game in hand. So they're not done by any stretch.
But with they added a goalie of
That
that
would go a
class.
You know what may
Long
happen
way.
before they add a goalie?
No.
They're going to add a tough guy.
What's that going to
I'm just telling you, I'm not saying,
yeah.
I'm
They
not
should.
putting
You're
the
saying
level of
that's-
importance, but it did not sit well when Matt Rempe ran over
Bastion?
Okay. And mark my words, before this trade deadline's over. And when do they meet again? When do the Rangers and the Devils
wow.
meet again?
I don't know, but you got some retribution
Oh,
planned.
listen, you cannot go back to that game. Somebody said mid-March.
It is March 11th at Madison Square Garden, fellas.
Yeah.
10 days.
You're not going back in there without a new
A mutant?
feel.
A new mutant?
I don't
of
know
some
what's out
kind?
there. I don't know where you go, where you look anymore. There are hardly any out there, but there has to be one around 6'5", 240. I don't know if he's in the American Hockey League. I don't know where he is, but it's weird. It's starting kind of like all it took was just one guy to kind of snowball where the Devils are thinking right now.
Yeah. You look at their fourth line. You remember a year or two ago when it was big Miles Wood, big Michael McLeod, and Bastion. They were a good line together. Now they got Alexander Holtz on their fourth line. No big D, really.
Yeah.
I could see them.
Yeah. They're searching anyways. I can tell you that. They're searching.
Text?
Text.
Missed the first few minutes of the show. Did you guys address the fire alarm last night? Was it Kyper who pulled it? Was there enough snacks from our texter SJ in North York?
Yeah, we didn't go to air in the second intermission because of a fire alarm. I mean, I've been in buildings here over my course of 20 plus years, but I've never missed. We've never missed
I don't
on
think it's
air.
supposed to go off in the studio. I think there's a separate, I don't know, you're just supposed to hang out in there. I don't know. No one ran to the exits, but
Yeah. So I can
Probably should have
confirm.
left.
I can confirm.
well, we're close to the exit there if you need to get outside.
Yeah, I can confirm it did not have to do with the snacks.
I was going to show Mitch Marner playing defense, which I ended up doing post game. Like we got to our points.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
With Stone's history, Vegas should just LTR him every year before the trade deadline, and their dynasty is formed. LTR is becoming a total joke. John and Hamilton.
Yeah,
They are doing that, and I agree.
I can't disagree that it's a bit of a joke. It just needs to get cleaned up.
It is embarrassing because it probably doesn't feel great or look great for a guy like Stone either. I bet he doesn't. Like, I understand that he'll do the right thing for the team, but I'm sure he'd prefer to come back when he's ready.
I don't doubt that for 1 second that it's not legit.
Well, I'm sure he's hurt.
Yeah, I
But
think he's a
maybe
lacerated spleen.
But maybe he'd be ready
But it allows
April 2nd.
it allows this gray area for you to go, okay, if we're this far, then why not just do this or why not do that? Sit out an extra week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And he's an older guy, could use the rest anyway. Worked out for him last year. Easy sell to a guy like Stone, who I'm sure is genuinely hurt, but just gives
And there's a
reason
lot
to
of
push
teams
it.
that would like that luxury of a big ticket item going down.
The craziest thing with a Vegas one here is not one person that I've talked to has been like, yeah, they're not sure if he's going to come back or not, or what they can do. Everyone is like, yeah, he's.
Hold on. Did you see this before you mentioned this?
What's that?
Trade alert from the New Jersey Devils. Verified account. We have acquired forward Curtis McDermott via trade with Colorado in exchange for a 7th round pick in the 2024 NHL draft.
No, I did not see it.
You're lying.
No, I did not see it.
He definitely didn't.
I didn't see it.
But I am sure.
I just saw New Jersey.
You knew.
It didn't
No, I
come
did
out
not
of
know.
Nowhere.
I did
You
not
heard
know.
Something somewhere there.
I swear I did not know.
Well, good luck, Curtis McDermott. You're fighting Matt Rempe in 10 days.
March
Ding, ding, ding.
11th
Yep.
at MSG.
You might as well train like it's a fight. There should be a weigh-in. They're definitely
So
going to fight.
who's reporting that?
The New Jersey Devils.
What time did the release come out?
Right this second.
So when did I say it? 2 minutes ago?
I don't know.
Curtis McDermott. Here's the thing that's a
540.
little strange.
540.
Here's the really strange part.
540?
Kip said, surely there's someone that's out there that's 6'5",
Okay.
240.
What's going on?
This guy is 6'5".
Well, you're not getting
235.
5'11" to fight a guy 6'8".
I don't know. They're going to get someone who's a Gemini.
I got to say, Curtis McDermott from my neck of the woods, Sauble Beach, Ontario, tough.
He's tough.
Played for my
he's
hometown Owen Sound Attack. Played for the Owen Sound Grays.
Oh my gosh, we're going old school again, guys.
This guy can chuck him.
We're going
with the best of them. So
old school.
I'm wearing my Owen Sound hat today. Curtis McDermott's going to beat the brakes off Rempe Owen Sound style. Let's go.
I hope Rempe can fight. You know, like he didn't get beat up by Matt Martin, but he certainly.
But he throws them.
I know he does, but he took a lot of punches to the head region.
He's just.
And if he's going to go fight Ryan Reaves and Curtis McDermott now, those are the two toughest guys.
He hasn't even finished growing. He's 21.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not going to be the toughest guy in the league.
His eyes are growing. Out.
Yeah, like, is there some sort of like intermediate training plan before you just fight all the league's toughest guys?
Yeah. I just lost my train of thought there, boys.
Ken Reed's going to have a Rempe jersey before
We've had a
midnight
million sort of texts alluding to the same thing. Ton of people really want to know what the Oilers are going to do at the deadline. It's just like it's a very common theme amongst their texts.
They're doing something. They'll sell their first rounder all day long.
Oh yeah.
So it's a foregone conclusion. They're just waiting to pick the guy that they think. I think they've got the assets, and they'll figure out a cap scenario. But they're
looking
they're
for
doing
both the
something.
and a forward, right? So
maybe a third line type of guy.
Yeah.
A centerman, maybe.
How tall and heavy would he be?
This one would be 6'2".
Okay.
And about 205.
Okay. All right, we'll keep that in
All right,
mind.
what do you got for me here?
I'm just trying to figure out how much you lied there. Ned in Lethbridge says
You can't give away all your secrets, Sammy.
The last guy to leave a team and then come back and have it work out is Craig Conroy in Calgary, says Ned in Lethbridge.
All right.
Good pickup.
There you go. Random question here. How many hours of hockey a week do you guys watch? From Andrew in Woodstock.
You don't want that number.
Yeah.
I mean, you start with a minimum of a game a night. So there's you're in for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
The key to my longevity over the course of 20 plus years is not much at all.
25 to 30 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy how much hockey I
I mean,
watch.
because I often watch into a second game. The next day,
Yeah.
I'll watch, video and replay and highlights.
Oh, that phone. Like, you end up watching more games on your phone, I think, than
You're
anything.
getting pieces of games.
Here's a crazy Friday question. Would you take a chance and trade Samsonov? He won't be back next year. He could help fetch a decent defender.
That part I'm not sold on.
We have
I'm
Jones
not
and Hill. Okay,
I'm
I'll
not
stop right there.
Yeah. I'm not
In
sold
theory,
on.
if he could fetch me a
I know it's
decent
crazy,
defender.
but ... was the way he ended
We
it.
didn't even do the Joe
So-
Woll thing.
So
You starting him in game 1 playoffs now? You're sold?
Oh,
he's way better.
Way better. Way better. Calmer. Just, he needs reps and he needs to stay healthy. That's it.
I'm no Doug MacLean goaltending coach here, but I'm watching the two
There's
guys
not-
play. There's no comparison.
First of all, give me one team that would take their chance on Samsonov. If you're LA
Jersey?
and you've come this far and you've watched his season,
You go, ooh, he's an 888.
you're going to look like an idiot if he does not come through for you. That's all. Right? Based on the toilet seat season that he's had up and down.
Yeah. Nope, that's fair. That's a tough sell. Got one more for us?
No, we're good.
All right. Isles get a big win over the Detroit Red Wings last night.
Where are you on them?
Which one? Detroit or New York?
Isles.
The Isles. They're going to try to win. Like, this is just not a team that, Lou's going to give up on. They're the oldest team behind maybe Pittsburgh. They're an old team. So they're going to try to keep winning. And I'm not 100% sold, but they do have the right mix of things that could be annoying in playoffs. They have a goalie who can get red hot. Barzal can make some plays. They got a couple of D who've underachieved this year in Pulak and Pelech. They're okay.
They have 14 loser points this year.
It's a lot. You know why? They blow leads constantly, but they do get leads too. So, clean that up. Their D plays a little better. Maybe they could hang on to a few more, but
The fight for that last wild card spot, so the last spot in the Metro is going to be fascinating. Like, you have how many teams within 7 points of that? Pittsburgh, Washington, New York, New Jersey. Everybody is right there for it. So,
and not to mention Tampa Bay is tripping on their own shoes a little bit, and that second wild card spot could also open up.
Yeah, they're not. They lost to Buffalo last night. That's never good.
So, did you guys see this story on NHLPA Executive Director Marty Walsh? Biden nominates him for the Postal Service Board seat.
No,
What?
I did
Like,
not.
can someone tell the President of the
Postal
United
Service?
States that
We're doing stuff here.
Marty's got a job already?
Well, he was in someone's administration before. Was it the Obama-Biden era?
So there's a line in this story that's out. I don't know where it's from. W. Burr or something. I don't know. And it says it was not immediately known, or it was not immediately clear Thursday if Walsh would need to depart his job leading the NHL Players Union to take the USPS board position.
NHLPA leader knew it's a part-time job now. Just do this in your spare time.
It's a $3 million a year job.
I like Marty. I don't want Marty to leave.
Marty's been great
And
for the
they're
players.
under the impression that he's like doing this on weekends.
Listen, I still get people who ask me, like, is that your full-time job? I tell them what I do. So I get
Honestly,
it.
sometimes I'm like, nah, it's fair.
Oh my goodness. That is hilarious.
All right, we're sailing off to the weekend. 30 seconds.
Our thanks to Doug MacLean.
Busy week next
And
week,
Luke
boys.
Fox.
Rest up.
3 Leafs games.
4 Leafs games.
Sammy,
Trade
bring
deadline.
it next week, man. I
Yeah,
want
rest up.
scoops.
Rest up.
Scoops. Go deep into your sources.
Okay, yeah, for
Curtis
sure.
McDermott to the Devils. You heard it here first.
Our thanks, as always, for you joining us on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. And if you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Have a safe weekend, everybody. We're back on Monday.